Hi, I'm Shiv Gaglani, welcoming you to Raise Line with Osmosis from Elsevier, an ongoing exploration about how to improve health and healthcare. And I'm delighted to do that today with Hong Keng Toh, who recently became the subject of global news coverage for a very special reason. At the age of 70, he became one of the world's oldest students to graduate from medical school. The retired Malaysian executive earned his degree this summer from Southwestern University in the Philippines after a long career in sales, marketing, and data collection in the Asia-Pacific region. As an older medical student myself, I'm looking forward to learning more about his remarkable journey, and already before meeting with him, I've taken a lot of inspiration from his journey. So, Toh, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Shiv.
Well, it's a pleasure again connecting with you because I love featuring non-traditional medical students, and your story was in CNN, and I think a lot of other outlets picked it up. We'll post the links to that in our podcast, but before we go too deep into questions, I would love to give you the opportunity to describe kind of your journey. So tell us kind of what prompted you to go to medical school in your 60s.
Actually, I grew up in a village town, in the seaside town, actually, in Port Dickson in Malaysia. At that time, we were more attuned to science and engineering rather than medicine because it's easier to find a job after graduation if we are engineer. And in fact, I think there was only one medical doctor among us. So we have like 5 classes, about 30 in our high school at that time. So I end up studying in the UK. And at that time, my parents couldn't afford me to go to the UK, but the fee where I was offered a place in the UK was low. So I end up in chemistry and control engineering in University of Bradford. And because it was what we call a sandwich course, 2 half-year internship training, and that really helped me in finding a job when I returned back to Malaysia. And that allowed me to be in technical support and technical sales. So I was there, but I met 2 young Indian students in Kyrgyzstan when I was traveling before retirement. It just suddenly dawned on me that maybe something that I want to do. And I said, I thought to myself, why not medicine? And even then, I wasn't sure I was going to like the course or whether or not I will make it at that time. I just thought even if I can't be a practicing doctor, I can learn the medical knowledge that will be useful to myself, my family, and my friend. And perhaps I can help people or take care of myself or my loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember reading that in the CNN article about that 2018 trip you took to Kyrgyzstan. And I'm curious, what did these Indian medical students say to you that inspired you to say, hey, maybe I could do that and learn and become a physician now 6 years later?
It's not so much about what they told me. It's more of them studying outside of India that give me the cue that I can do the same, but I didn't want to study in the Central Asia where, they speak Russian. And I said, maybe I should go to China because I can speak Mandarin. Or, not very good, but at least I'm better in Mandarin than Russia for sure. And I look at what you call Chinese medical schools, which offer foreign students, and they were like allowing only students from 18 to 30 or 35 years old. So I said, that's almost the end of it for me, right? So then I was Googling, and then I saw a lot of Indian students going to the Philippines. Then I said to myself, maybe that's where I should go because English is the medium of instruction. And then, for Malaysians, English, in our generation, English is like in India, the one of the mainstream language. And that's how, I investigated Philippines, and then I end up in Southwestern University where they accept me at my age.
Yeah, wow. And what is that process like for you? Because I know, again, the article which we'll post shares some of the limitations where, as you said, there was an age max for when people can go to enroll in the school. What what was the process like for you to apply? Did the dean have to talk to you about how committed you are to doing this? And, what were some of those challenges to even get in the first place?
Even in the Philippines, the schools all have different rules for admission, I guess. I mean, like in Cebu, where I went, which is the second biggest city in the Philippines, there were like 6 medical schools. And some of them don't take foreign student at all. Like, say, for example, the best, I've not heard about foreign students studying there. It's called Cebu Institute of Medicine. And I think the second best is Cebu Doctors University, CDU. And I went there when I was taking the NMAT. It was similar to the MCAT in the US. And I went to the school, and the dean said they wouldn't take student more than 40. And so it was the same as many of the places in the Philippines. Some said they would not take student more than 30, some said 35. But quite a number of schools, they say they don't have a HD mate, but I think they do. Because when I applied to them, at the end of it, they said, can you get CP fitness certificate from your doctor? And what's that? I mean, they probably wouldn't ask for the same from other younger, what they call student. So that's why, my university, Southwestern, they did not ask for that. I mean, they said they don't have HD mate, and they just do the mini interviews and took me as I am, or I was at that time.
That's awesome. I'm glad again that there are schools like that. Here in the US, one of our guests we had on the podcast is Dr. Lisa Sanders, who writes the diagnosis column for the New York Times and was the main medical consultant for House MD, that TV show that was very popular. And she started med school in her mid-30s after a career as a TV journalist, and kind of praised Yale Medical School, which is where she went, because they had a focus on allocating a certain number of spots in their medical school class to non-traditional applicants. So I'm glad there's medical schools like yours and Yale that make that possible. And even mine, Hopkins, has increasingly been a little more flexible. But so okay, that was getting into med school. Now you've been going through med school, and obviously you did some of that during the pandemic, which made online learning a little easier, where you could maybe live, in Hong Kong and do online lectures. And, so much of this, as we both know, could be done online, minus the apprenticeship, the actual patient care. What were some of kind of your favorite stories from going through medical school? First, focused on the fact that you're non-traditional. I think the article referenced that some of your classmates, when meeting you, thought you were their faculty first. So do you have any funny or interesting stories from the process? And then I'd love to hear about some of the most important things you've learned in med school along the way.
Actually, the most difficult part of the medical school is actually the final year, clerkship year. I'm not sure where I assume that the medical education system in the Philippines is similar to that in the US, because Philippines is the only one that is different in Asia, because most of the other Asian countries uses the British education system, which is like 5 years after high school and then 1 year of housemanship or internship. But in the US American system is a postgraduate, so you have to do a pre-med and then the the graduate school for medicine, which is 4 years. But the toughest is really the final year, which is the clerkship year, where we have hospital rotation and there's no weekends, there's no public holiday. But then it's also the most rewarding one. This is when we apply what we learn, right? Because that's when we do history taking, physical examination on actual patient, and learn how to do diagnosis, order lab tests, prescribe medication. And then, one of the rewarding thing is like we have opportunity to assist in the deliveries of babies, either use normal spontaneous delivery or C-sections. Actually, I saw more C-sections than I can imagine, right? I mean, like, say, for example, 24 hours duty, I had one normal assistant in one normal delivery. And then 3 C-sections, which is unbelievable.
Wow.
And so it's really nice, experience to see the birth of a new life, for example, the process of having a mother going through the labor pain and then see the babies coming out yelling and see how it's such a relief as the child was placed on the mother's abdomen. And that was really extremely moving.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with that, actually. I did my pediatrics rotation a couple of months ago and, was on the NICU for a little bit with the neonatal patients and the intensive care unit. And I thought I was going to a NICU meeting, but my resident had something else in store for me and rushed me in to a room, had me scrub in to a C-section. I wasn't even expecting it. And then had me be the one to catch, the OB-GYN hands the baby to.
Oh, okay. Catching the babies.
I actually loved working with the babies. And we had one baby come out that had Down syndrome. And as you know, they have a heart murmur, ventricular septal defect is very common, any cushion defects, and was able to help do a echocardiography on a 2-day-old baby with Down syndrome. It was really spectacular. So I'm going next week. I start my OB-GYN clerkship. So I think in the Philippines, they had you doing 24-hour and 30-hour shifts as a medical student. There in the US, they're a little less intense than that. So the longest shift I'll have is 18 hours. But, I'm looking forward to scrubbing in again and seeing some more C-sections too and and normal deliveries.
Yeah, it's nice to experience it. To deliver a baby yourself.
I think the article referenced that you weren't sure about doing residency or further training, but if you were to decide to do it, first of all, where are you with that decision? And then, what specialty would you pursue if you wanted to do it?
Actually, I thought about it many times, but it's so difficult to make up your mind on that. Actually, if I have a choice, maybe, at my age and my interest, it will be more on, say, for example, geriatric. But geriatric is not a mainstream specialty. So I guess given the choice and my interest in instrumentation, I'll probably do radio.
Oh, wow.
Actually.
Very cool. Radiology.
Yes, because I like to play with equipment because of my background. I feel more at home with that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Interventional radiology is very cool. Very interesting.
Yeah. I learn how to interpret the X-rays, to the MRI, the CT scan, and all that. But of course, I'm still not there yet. But it will be interesting. Yeah.
You mentioned your tech career, so you've had a successful career as a tech executive and doing sales. How did you balance that? I'm curious, what were you working while going through med school, and then what did your colleagues and or your long list of people who know you as a tech person or salesperson think about you being back in med school?
Most of the people, even my brother, think that I'm crazy, right? To do medicine at this age.
You mean especially your brother thinks you're crazy, right?
Yeah. And then at my age, it's hard to be a practicing doctor as such, right? So because it takes time to be a licensed doctor and take time to be a specialist, right? So yeah, he think that I'm wasting my time and money. But most people think that way. Studying in the Philippines is a lot more affordable, so that was fine with me.
Yeah,
and that's probably why I choose to study medicine in the Philippines in the first place. It's more affordable.
Yeah.
If there are people in the US who say they cannot afford to study medicine, actually, Philippines is a good alternative. Actually,
that's some good advice, and increasingly people are going abroad to train. With Osmosis, we are fortunate to. One of my favorite things in this role with Osmosis is I get to meet doctors and medical students and nurses all around the world. And I was in the Czech Republic, and there's a lot of U.S. and Canadian students and Indian students who go there to learn, and they within a few years are back in their home countries practicing. So it's good to know about the Philippines as an option for some of our listeners too. I asked this briefly, but I would love to hear, did you have any experiences where a faculty member or a fellow student thought you were a faculty member? Anything that was a little awkward, where maybe in my mind I'm imagining you with your classmates entering a lecture hall and then the professor's not there yet, but they all assume that you're the professor. Anything like that happen?
Not so much that way because most people know me already, right? I mean, and only at the beginning, when, like year one, not many people know me, and not many people know who are the professors or the lecturers or the faculty members in the school. But once they know me, I mean, they got used to it. And then unlike in the US, we wear uniforms
Oh,
as a medical student, and it's easy to identify, who are the students and who are the faculty members. Faculty members don't wear uniforms, but of course, the students sort of like in the Philippines. I mean, or in Asia in general, there's a respect for the older people, and many of them try to call me like Sir Toh, So I have to tell them that, look, please call me Toh because we are classmates, right? Like in the US, I mean, we don't address in the US. We don't address people Misters or whatever. We just call by the name or the first name, right? Just to be like to be as equals, if you like.
yeah, that makes sense. That's relatable, and the uniform certainly would help. I've definitely been confused a couple of times. Even though I'm not even the oldest person at my medical school right now, there's definitely older people who started second careers or third careers. And I remember when I returned to med school after a decade off, I was talking to one of my new classmates, because originally I was class of 2015 and I became class of 2025. So hopefully we'll finish in this coming May. She asked me, she's like, so when did you start med school? And I said, 2011. And she said, I was a seventh grader in 2011. So it's kind of a nice welcome back to school. But there was one saying in the Tagalog language that was mentioned in the CNN article I read, which is, I think it's sayang. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Can you tell our audience a bit about what that means and how that resonated with you and in this context?
I mean, sayang is a word even the use in the Malaysia and Indonesia is a very common word that's being used. It means that it's a shame to give up, or it's a shame not to see it through. So you say, like, many times I said, maybe I should give up. And they would say, you've come so far, sayang if you give up, right? That's where it's being used. Sayang means it's a shame if you give up, or it's a shame you don't see it through.
Yeah, I really like that term, and because we'll probably use it for myself, because I definitely, that was one of the main reasons I returned to school. Was I felt I had done 2 years, I had been on this journey, and it felt like a good thing, as you said, just to have medical knowledge to take care of myself, my loved ones. And it's just happening where people, my friends and family, will ask me questions, and it's a good practice for me to, like, okay, I have abdominal pain. Like, what's the differential for right upper quadrant abdominal pain versus left upper quadrant? And it's been very, very gratifying. And I resonate with sayang because I definitely want to see it through. I'm the type too, like yourself, who likes to do what I say and say what I do. So one quote that really makes me think of your journey is Ben Franklin. He wrote, "Most people die at 25 and are buried at 75." Essentially meaning that they stop learning, like their soul dies at 25. They stop learning, they stop growing, they stop changing, and they're only buried at in their later years. And that reminds me of this because a lot of the people we feature on this podcast are people like my mentors, Peter Frischoff, who started Medscape. He's the godfather of Osmosis, and Alan Patrickhoff, who was our board member, who's 89, and he just started his third venture firm, completed his sixth marathon at 88, went skiing with us 3 years ago. But he reminds me of you. I love featuring these people because I hope to be one of you, where you never stop learning and never stop growing. And as my other mentor, Jerry, who just turned 69, says, he probably will get a tattoo one day that says, "Don't let the old man in," which is a Clint Eastwood saying and song, where it's really just a mindset of when do you stop growing? And I do have friends or people I've met and known in their 20s and 30s who just stop. They stop learning, they stop growing, and they're much less vibrant than people I know in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s who are vibrant. And I think you strike me as one of those people who keeps doing hard things.
I think many people want to do something even after retirement, but maybe they haven't made up their mind what they want to do. In fact, actually, they are quite a few people, I mean, a handful of people who contacted me through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and WhatsApp about studying medicine at the older age. There was one from the US in the Colorado. He said he's already second year medicine, and he was a lawyer from Duke and still working and studying at the same time online because of the pandemic, right? And his second year, and he's 66 years old. Maybe you can interview him sometime.
Yeah, please connect us. I'd love that.
Yeah.
You'll follow up on that.
Yeah, and then there is let me see. Oh, there's one in my neighborhood. He's a Cathay Pacific pilot, German, 50 years old, and he said his father is a doctor and his brother is also a doctor, and he have an interest to study medicine soon. I said, don't wait too long if you want to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me see, there was one Australian and there was one Singaporean, and he is 60. And he asked me about studying medicine in the Philippines. So, and he looks really serious. He say his brother is in the Philippines, his sister-in-law is in the Philippines, and he really want to go and study in the Philippines, but probably not in Cebu, but in Manila.
That's awesome. So all this came out of the articles featuring you. This is some of the feedback you got as people who wanted to kind of follow up in the footsteps.
Yes. The media is really incredible.
There's a concept called high agency, and I really like this concept. It's also known as resourcefulness. It's a skill one can develop. Some people have it more naturally than others, but you can develop it where essentially you have a high locus of control, right? Like if something's not right with, or if you want to get something, you figure out resourcefully how to get it done. And another thing that was mentioned in the article about you in CNN is about how when you were studying in London for your master's degree, you actually worked as a garbage collector to be able to pay for some of your student loans. And when I read that, I was like, wow, like that's high agency, like figuring out how to get things done. So can you tell us a bit more about your kind of what skills you've cultivated in yourself that made it possible for you to achieve this and other things, including maybe being resourceful and figuring out how to get things done?
You mean to be a medical student?
In general, it seems like this is a pattern for you, right? Like, medical student that's in the 60s, but also, master's student in London in the 1970s when to pay your loans, you had to take on an extra job that a lot of people would not find glamorous, but you just did it because it was a good way to earn money, it seemed.
Yeah, in those days, I think in the UK, actually, we don't call garbage collector, we call refuse collector.
Okay.
So it's a better name.
Okay.
But actually, I started working as a refuse collector in Bradford, which is actually, we say, a Pakistani town. A lot of immigrants, Pakistani in the old days, because of the what you call the garment industry in the summer, right? And I found that the salaries of refuse collector is better in London. And I have many friends in London, so I decided to do it in London. And then when I did my master's in London, then I sort of don't have sufficient money at the end of it, so I worked from like June all the way to December, Christmas time. I think 6 to 7 months, so that I can pay all my debts before I return home. So it's not so much about getting something done. It was like I have to pay my debts right before I go. And there was the opportunity for me to do that, in the summertime. So I did that. And that was rewarding from that perspective, because then I feel free, right? When I'm back home looking for a job. I don't have something to pay back. When I started work in Malaysia, the salaries in Malaysia are not high at that time. So
Yeah, and I think resourcefulness is one thing, and I think another thing, though, to be able to make a decision like that, or going back to school later on and being surrounded by people, decades younger than you, is putting your ego aside, right? Like that's I think a really important skill for a lot of people, is realizing that they don't need to take life so seriously, and they can put aside their ego and their pride and do things. Because one of the things that was difficult for me was losing control of my own time, right? I went from managing a company of 100 employees to then needing to ask someone a decade younger than me for permission to leave at the end of a shift, right?
oh, okay. The resident doctors are younger than you.
Yeah, and some of the people I went to med school with the first time around are faculty, and those are always awesome, because it's like, people I used to go out with are now my residence attendings, and it's kind of fun because it's instant camaraderie in those cases. But I think being able to put aside your ego and adopting this beginner's mindset is a real boon for people if they can develop that. What advice, I know I want to be respectful of your time, what advice would you give to our audience about pursuing their dreams or goals in medicine or beyond?
If they want to study medicine like me too, my response is it depends on why you want to study medicine, right? If you want to be a practicing doctor, my advice to start like 60 and younger, so that you have time to complete your medical board exam and practice after graduation. If you are studying from knowledge, like me, then age doesn't really matter to some extent, right? But beware that, of the growing long hours you will encounter for hospital rotation duties. Because I used to have like edema. I still have edema in my lower legs due to prolonged standing and sitting. I don't know about in the US, but, we hardly have any place where we can lie down to rest. There is no, out of so many of us, we only have like three beds, for resting when we can. So that is, usually we just have to sleep on the bench, right? With the head on the bench, not like lie on the bench. So when you are over 65, your energy level, your memory level will be lower. Beware of that, right? Of course, for anyone, studying medicine is not a walk in the park. I am a firm believer that at this age, we should be able to do what we like to do, not what people think we should be doing. So my advice is go for it if that's what you want to do or what your dream is.
That's wonderful advice. Now we're at time, so I wanted to give you the last ability to, cover anything I forgot to ask about, any parting words of wisdom or anything you want to share with our audience before we let you go.
The fun part about, medicine is what you call to be able to serve yourself, to serve your friends or your loved one, and also the community, right? But one of the things about younger medical graduate is they always have to struggle between like cities and a rural area, for example, because in the cities the living standard is better, and then the hospitals are much more well staffed and well equipped, and you have a chance to be a specialist through residency program, and unlike in the countryside. So many people, many of my classmates and many people I know, they all want to be in the city, right? They don't want to go to the countryside, but in the countryside is where, uh, the healthcare professionals are needed. And my advice is give to the young people is they should, think about going to the countryside even for a few years, right? And as a doctor, he or she can have the most impact, in my opinion.
Wow, that's very generous and thoughtful advice, or parting words. It's a problem we have here in the US too, where a lot of rural hospitals and health systems are shutting down because of staffing issues and economic issues. So Very, very important for people to learn about that. And thanks for sharing it. So with that, Toh, I know we're at time, so I really don't want to take much more of yours right now, but it's been a real pleasure having you on the podcast. I appreciate kind of the inspiration of your story and you taking the time to share in your own words why you went back to med school with our audience.
Thanks so much, Shiv. And it was so nice to meet you for the first time.
Hopefully one day in person. And with that, I'd like to thank our audience too for checking out today's show. Remember to do your part to raise the line and strengthen our healthcare system. We're all in this together. Take care.
If you like this podcast, please share it on your social channels. You can also subscribe to the series and check out all of our episodes at osmosis.org/raisethelines podcast.